Right, nice and easy one this. Let's set some SSIS variables from a single row result set using execute SQL Task. We've got our execute SQL Task. Before we configure that, let's just have a look at Management Studio. And we've just got a piece of T-SQL that we're going to call from our execute SQL Task. Just execute it. It returns one row, 3 columns. And these are the 3 values we want to land into our SSIS variables. Let's put that out of the way and get back to our Visual Studio. We're going to need 3 variables to land these values in. We'll just create those. Bear with me. And we're going to want the person ID. Won't worry too much about scope, we'll just keep it at the package level for now. That's going to be an integer. We're going to need surname. That's going to be a string. And we're going to need, third one, our date of birth. And that's going to be, I can find it, date time. Okay, we can just get rid of that setting. Right, so there's our 3 variables ready to be loaded. Let's get this thing configured. Result set. We're expecting a single row. We're going to stick with connection type OLADB. We could use ADO.NET. There's no differences in what we're going to do with the configuration with ADO.NET. So we only need one example, we'll do it for OLADB. Connection manager, we've got one handy. SQL statement, we'll just copy in that piece of T-SQL we looked at. There we go. So that's just the select statement where person ID equals 4. And then we need to look at the result set. There's no parameters, we go to the result set mapping. Result name 0 for the first column, and the variable name is going to be person ID. It's the first one. And another one. It's going to be result name 1, and that's going to be the surname. And the final one is the date of birth. So that's it, all configured. Okay to that, and we're ready to give it a go. Before running it, we'll just put a breakpoint inside it to break on post execute, so that we can look at the variables. So okay to that. And then we'll run it, and it's caught on the breakpoint. Got nothing in the watch at the moment, so we need to just bring up the variables and drop those in, and there we have it. So what we're seeing is the 3 column values dropped into our 3 variables, so that looks good. We can just stop the debugging, and that's done. There is something to watch out for, which is if you don't get 1 row back. If you get 0 rows, you're not going to get your variables loaded with values. And if you get multiple rows, you're going to get your variables loaded with not necessarily the right row. So it would be a good idea to detect getting other than 1 row. piece of code here shows how you might do that. There's the original select we've been using, and added to that you could have, with SQL Server 2012 onwards, a single line to detect where we're getting other than one row to throw an error. For earlier versions of SQL Server you could instead raise an error and add that into the T-SQL in the SSIS execute SQL task. So let's do that. Let's grab this line, copy that, put Management Server out of the way, Management Studio rather, out of the way, and go into the execute SQL task. We'll add this line underneath, and just run it as that. So that should still work. We should still get a single row back. Yeah, looks good. That was fine. So we can stop that. Just go back in here. And this time we'll get rid of the where person ID equals 4. So that will be multiple rows coming back this time. OK to that. OK to that. Rerun it. This time it fails due to that throw line being added in. And the output says, failed with the following error, 0 or multiple rows returned. OK, so that's a little extra you could add in just to trap any problems like those. So that was acquiring a single row result set and processing the column values into variables. Thanks for watching.